Welcome to the very first episode of our podcast. We're going to be talking about, first, we're going to talk about our God's Calling series because that's one of our favorite series. That was the best series we did. By far, I think it was the best series. I don't know about you, but it was my favorite. I had a lot of fun preaching it. But we're going to do this podcast in two parts. So we're going to do the first part, we're going to talk about um, Moses, because our word of the year for this year for the high school Bible study is change, because we want to talk about actual change, one real change happening in the school, rather than a change that happens on a weekly basis, or a change that just happens once a week, or maybe even a change that just happens during church camp that only stays at church camp. We really want to hone in on just changed forever, not changed in a moment, not changed at a conference, but changed forever and fully changed. And that's what we're really going to talk about. And that's kind of how the God's Calling series was kind of put together. We talked about Moses for a good 4 weeks, and then we went and we kind of talked about a bunch of different other things. If you can't see, we have a ton of paper that has all of the messages that we've done. But yeah, so we're gonna just jump right in. The first week we did was God's Calling, Calling. We talked about Moses and the burning bush. If you want to check out the verses, it's Exodus chapter 3, verses 2 through 4. But the things that stuck out to me the most in this was that it's like when the Lord saw that he had gone over and look, God called. It's like when God sees that you're making an effort, when God sees that you're actually trying, he's going to use you. He's going to actually like give you the ways to do the calling, right? It's like, cuz if we show participation, that's all he needs. He doesn't need perfection. He doesn't need anything. He just needs you to participate in the calling, and he will guide you through the rest of it. That's kind of that's the whole thing about the series. That's what I thought was really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
If you ask God for wisdom, he'll give it to you.
Literally.
He'll guide you and help you through it all the way.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's another part up here that you kind of had highlighted. It was like you were created to thrive in what God has made you, not as somebody else. And that is what this generation has gotten so twisted.
I've struggled with that. I can be 100% honest. I've struggled with trying to be somebody else, looking at somebody else, doing what they're doing. But this whole time I should have been looking at God.
Exactly.
And trying to be like God and be and do what he was.
Yeah, and I mean, this generation's got this whole thing twisted where it's like, oh, I think I'm a boy when I'm actually, God created me as a girl, or I think I'm this sexuality or I'm this sexuality, when God created you a certain way because he gave you purpose, the way that he created you.
He made you like that for a reason.
Exactly. The way you were created was not by accident. Just because your parents did not plan you did not mean that God did not plan you. There's a verse that says, I knew you before you were even conceived. He knew you in heaven. He knew who you were going to be before your parents even conceived you. That's what's so crazy about this, is he gave us the environment to thrive into so that we can walk in purpose. We just have to participate in it, right? And then I saw you had where it's like when God prepares you or whatever, it may look like there's fire all around you, but it's not something that God has not planned and has purpose in it. That we could go. Oh.
Especially recently, talking about
Exactly.
abortion and stuff.
Yes.
You might have heard of the 10-year-old that might have been raped and she can't get an abortion. But God had a reason of why he let her get raped. There's a whole purpose and reason of why. In the end, it's going to be used for something.
Exactly. Like, my shirt, but God.
But God.
But God.
She got raped. But God.
But God's not going. God will not allow sin to happen to you, or he will. I'm trying to word this the right way. Whatever sin happens to you, whatever happens to you, it may not be what God wanted, but he can still use it. Like, you may have gotten pregnant, but God can use that child. He has purpose in that child. There's purpose behind everything that happens, and that's what's so crazy. Like Genesis 50:20 talks about Joseph, this dude named Joseph. He gets thrown into prison and slavery and all this by his own brothers. I would have done that to my brother. But he gets thrown into prison and in the slavery and all of this, and at the very end, he's like, yeah, you did all of this against me. You threw me into slavery. I got accused of something I never even did in the first place, and yet God still turned it for good. And that's something that we can just really set on, is yes, something bad is happening. Yes, you could be depressed right now. Yes, you may be having anxiety. Yes, your parents are in that divorce, but God has purpose in that. Yeah. Oh, she's making fun of me for saying "but God" all the time. She's literally making. Oh, you're so rude. You're so rude. Okay. But yeah, and it was really cool because we were talking about this. Is like we were able to relate this before all this abortion stuff was happening,
Right.
and yet this still like sermon or whatever still has like purpose right now. It's crazy how much it can still, or how much God can like relate it back to us. But I want to read the verses because I want to like give them an idea of what this one was talking about. It's Exodus 3:2-4. Actually, I'm gonna read it from my Bible because I had it like my Bible is crazy. Like mine is
different.
mine is different. Mine is different. You can't see it, but it's different. But it has like so much like it's the pastor, it's the preacher outlining and stuff. But so yeah, Exodus 2 chapter 3 verses 2-4, it says that there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within the bush. Ooh. But Moses but Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, but it didn't burn up. See, the bush was on fire. It appeared to be on fire, but it wasn't deteriorating, right? And like a lot of us think our lives are on fire right now. We are going through all of this, but it's not deteriorating. It's not being destroyed. Although it looks like it. It looks like it. All of this stuff is happening. All this craziness is happening. The abortion is all the abortion stuff. All of the pride stuff. All of this. The LGBTQ whatever stuff. It seems like it's like bad, and it seems like the world is on fire. But there's no deterioration because God still has purpose in it, right? So that was pretty cool. But and then verse 3 says, so Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. Verse 4 says that when the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called him from within the bush, saying, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, here I am. This I want to look at because Moses is talking about how he sees God calling him, and he responds in a moment though. Like how many of us are listening to God or saying, here I am, God, in a moment? Like we're coming up on the at Elevate. We're at Elevate right now filming because it's great. Because I don't got the budget for any of this. This nice stuff. They do though, so we're using their chairs. Oh yeah, very nice. But they're having a youth conference coming up, and it's like, how many of us are gonna just leave that change at the conference? Like spiritual emphasis week. How much of us are actually changed from spiritual emphasis week? How much of us are actually like left our stuff at the altar and then went back as we walked out of chapel and picked it back up the next week? Like how much that's like our word of the year is change, like actual change, right? And so what I want to get your views on this because like I'm talking a lot, but I want to hear you.
I think especially with spiritual emphasis week, I'd say with our school, for some people you can see a change. It's obvious when there's a change. And I think people do leave it on that 1 week, but we need to take what we take from spiritual emphasis week, from school in general, from church, and not just leave it there. Take it out everywhere we go.
Like spread it.
Show it.
Yeah.
Actually show it.
Yeah. Like it's like making a sandwich. Like you can get the peanut butter, but if you don't spread it, you're not gonna taste it on the sandwich. Like us as Christians, we have the peanut butter, but if we do not spread it, the world is not gonna taste the peanut butter. It's not gonna taste the jelly. If we don't spread the jelly, they're not gonna taste the sweetness of the jelly. If we don't spread the gospel, we're not gonna taste this. Not everyone's gonna taste the sweetness of God, the love of God. And that's what's so crazy is we have to actually allow change. Like change is not just something that just happens to us. Like change is a posture.
And it takes time.
Change takes time. It doesn't just happen
overnight.
overnight.
It's not immediately.
Yeah, like you have to allow change for there to be change. And so we kind of see that Moses does that, and he kind of allows change. But again, when God prepares you, it seems like there's fire around us, but it's not something that God hasn't planned. Yeah, that's just what I want to rest on that because like after all this stuff that we're talking about, it's like everything that has happened, it's not going unseen. The stuff that's happening in your household right now, God has not seen it, and He's not gonna not use it. God can still use whatever is happening in the household, whatever is happening with your family, all of that. He can still use it for your good, for your benefit, for your purpose. Yeah, that's kind of what we were kind of talking about in that week, is just like actual change and like really changing. But yeah, so we're gonna flip the page to look at week 4. And so week 4 of that series, we kind of just talked about Moses again, but this time we talked about his excuses. That was one of my favorite ones because I never actually I never actually. What's that? We said hi to people. But like so like I actually never wrote it down. So like we see this is the paper we have, but I never like actually wrote it down on paper. I actually like it was like 11:30 at night, and I'm like I started reading Exodus, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and I just like I start writing it down. Like you can just see, like this is like 11 a.m. writing. It's just like this is one point, and then this is the next point. Like I was up, and it's just like it's crazy how Moses went from being with God and saying, God, use me, but then once he heard what God was gonna call him to do, he started making excuses. Like if there's like, have you ever had like that friend where it's like you don't want to hang out with, but like they want to hang out with you?
Yeah,
so like you gotta
make an excuse.
Yeah. Like they're like, hey, you want to go to the mall? Oh, I gotta go walk my goldfish. Oh. I gotta walk my pet goldfish. So like.
Hey yo, I left my bear in the woods.
Oh.
I got.
But yeah, that's exactly what Moses was doing in this. Is like we're in Exodus 3:11 through 14 now, and it's literally God called Moses. God told Moses what he was gonna do, and Moses was like, "Oh, but like I got a stutter, so like I can't talk to Pharaoh." I mean, like that's how a lot of like excuses. Like a lot of us, like God called us to ministry, but yet we're saying, "Oh, I have a stutter, I can't speak," or "Oh, I can't speak in front of crowds, I can't do that." I have a stutter. It is bad when I'm preaching. Like you can ask her.
I can get a stutter too.
And it's like, but I'm not allowing my earthly body to prevent me from what my heavenly calling is, right? Oh, that just. That's some fire right there. No, but like, so we're looking at this, and what's crazy is Moses felt unqualified, but God doesn't call the
unqualified.
No, he doesn't call the qualified.
He calls the
unqualified, and he
exactly.
qualifies them in everything. It's like you may feel unqualified in your situation, but if God's called you, he's qualified you, right? You may feel unqualified, but God wants you to be unqualified so he can qualify you in the situations. Like we were talking about, like the situations we go through qualifies us for the purpose that we have. Yeah, you may be going through depression, but when you get out of that depression, notice how I'm saying when you get out of it, you can use that testimony for somebody else to help them get out of depression, right? And like that's kind of like what we went into too, is like we're making so many excuses, but our calling is not just for us, it's to help others too. Like your purpose isn't for you. Like yeah, God can use you, but it's not just for you, right? It's to help other people. It's to go and be like, hey, yeah, I went through this depression, or I had this pornography issue, or I had these thoughts about this abortion, but I heard God say stop. I heard God's whisper. Like God, like if God's so close, so he doesn't have to yell, he just has to whisper. Like that's what we forget, is like he's so close, he doesn't have to yell at us. Because if he was far away, yeah, he would have to yell at us, but he's so close that he just doesn't even need to scream at us. And so like when we hear God's whisper, it's like, how are we going to respond? Like, do we respond with I will, or yes God, or we respond with excuses? And we talk about how like the two excuses that God made, or that Moses made, was who and what. He said, who am I to do this, and what am I to do this? What are they going to think of me? Like, have you ever felt like that?
Yes.
Like, like, all right, so the first time I ever asked you to preach for Bible study, what was your thoughts? What were your thoughts?
I was like, whenever I first did it, of course, I'm going to be nervous, because like, these are my fellow students. And it's like, bro, if I do this, what are they going to like see me as after this? Like,
exactly.
What? Like,
and it's like,
are you going to see me differently? Like,
yeah, like, that's what Moses was thinking. He was like, what are they going to say about me?
Right.
That's what a lot of us are thinking. He's like, if I actually change, what are they going to think of me? Like, who's going to look at me? What are they going to think of me? And like, but the crazy thing is this right here, that God already said he was going to bless you regardless of what you've done. Regardless of the pornography you watch, God said, you know what? I'm still using you. Regardless of your parents' past, regardless of your past, regardless of your family history, God says, I don't care about the history. I care about you because I created you with a purpose. I created you and I love you. And yes, I love your family and I love you too. And that I have something for you. But you just have to make an effort. You just have to participate for me to use you. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be amazing at whatever it is because I'm going to qualify you in it. That's what I really love about God. It's just like...
And I can tell you, when I did the Bible study, when I first led it, I was not prepared. I don't even think I was that good. But it's okay because I had an effort.
You were okay. Yeah.
Exactly. I had an effort. God saw what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And he's going to bless me in the end for it.
Yeah, like, and then through that, it's like, she talked about fear, and like, it was crazy. Like, what was really funny is when you talked about like the stuff that your first Bible study is this, like, it's the exact like chapter and verse, and but it's two different things, because like we talked about how Moses was afraid, but he also made excuses as well. A lot of us are afraid, but why should we be afraid if we have a God that's holding us up, right? And yeah, but there's one thing that says that. We oftentimes ignore what God is trying to tell us because we're afraid of what other people are going to say. Like, I don't know about you, but like going into high school life, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because it's just like...
Especially being freshmen, we're like the bottom dogs.
I mean, are we the bottom though? Yeah. No, but it's just like, we're trying to leave a mark on this school, but we're like these freshmen. Like, what do these freshmen have to say? Like, but we can't allow our own voices because crazy thing is we make excuses based on our own thoughts.
Exactly.
It's like, because we never, like, Moses never actually heard what the people are going to say to him. We aren't hearing what other people are thinking about us, but we're assuming, our assumptions are saying that's what they're saying to us. That's what they're going to do. But oftentimes our assumptions are usually the enemy. Right?
Definitely.
Like we oftentimes allow our assumptions to stop us from our purpose with God. And I think that's something so crazy that we gotta like work on as we're going through this change thing. We're talking about change or whatever. Is she almost walked in on people. But like, yeah, as we're talking about change, it's just like actually changing. Like, don't allow the voices of other people to stop you from actual change.
Right.
Like, and that's what we gotta work on. We have Angelina running over here in the background, and it's hilarious as crap. Okay, but yeah. So, do you have anything else you want to say about this? This is crazy. No. No. Yeah. But I mean, like, that's. I mean, and you can go back and you can watch. Like, I think these messages are on here.
I will say, whenever we're trying to think about what others might say, and what you think they might assuming, just focus on God. Just like how, I think it's also because it's like turning away, not exactly turning away from God, but you're looking away, just like with Peter in the boat, and as soon as he wasn't focusing on God, that's when he started to sink. But as soon as he looked right back on God, he focused on what God was saying, what God was doing. That's when he started to walk on water again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, our perspective has to remain on God. Because, like, remember when we did the Own It series? It was like, we start asking why because we get disconnected from who. Oh, that was so good. Y'all gotta go watch that. I will put it, like, when I'm editing this, I'm gonna put it up there. Okay, it's gonna be like a little thing right here. The thing up there. You're gonna watch it. It's great. But like, and like the crazy thing is, I was preaching that in the midst of my grandpa getting ready to pass away without even me knowing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I already knew that there was gonna be purpose behind it, and that's what's so crazy. But yeah. So yeah, that is the first part of this. This was really cool.
That was part one. It was fun.
It was fun. But hey, next week we're shooting these all back to back. So you're gonna see me out. I'm just gonna throw a hoodie on, or I'm just gonna take this off. I have a shirt under here. We're just gonna shoot all these back to back so that we can get it all done. But next week we're gonna talk about one of my favorite. This is like my favorite thing I ever preached on, was Call Me Moira. Moira. Like, it was so good. It was so much fun to preach. Like, right here.
It was even fun for me.
Yeah, like, Yeah, so it was still part of the God's Calling series, but we talked about our bitterness about God and what God does to us, but through the pruning and the sifting, God has something better for us. So, see you guys next week. Ready? That was bad. Okay, this is going to bloopers.